Hello Leo, welcome back to my channel, The Vibes Inside. I am Mariana and I am ready here to do your new reading. And I've pre-shuffled the cards. I'm still trying to, do shorter readings. I've pre-shuffled the cards and opened the cards, so I do have a message. We'll see how short I can do it this time. You know me, if you have been following me, I'm not succeeding in that at all. I tend to make long readings anyway. So, okay. I feel like I want to start with the underlying energy because this is an energy that kind of wants, it can come from the subconscious mind and be like something that wants to drive a process forward here. And in that area I have the Fool card clarified with the new blueprint. So this is like an energy of wanting new, I want to say. New imprint, blueprint here, and Fool card. So this can be, something on the back of your mind, or something that you have initiated, like, I'm fed up with my situation somehow. I want something new, and this has been working in you, right? It could have been on your mind, but otherwise, maybe not. Actually, it's more like an instinct, or I got actually when I sat before I meditate, like I meditate a little bit before the readings, right? And I got, like discipline and focus, Leo, right? Discipline and focus. But this is actually a bit of the opposite. Like the Fool card is usually young. It can be playful. It can be a child. It can be the way a child goes about things. With new imprint here. This could be a curious child that wants a new experience. The Fool is also an energy that it's Aries energy. So this is like, wow, this looks fun. Let's go and do it, right? Carpe diem, let's see what happens. It's not an energy that is restricted or limited in certain ways. It's just, let's go and try this out. Let me go and try this and see what happens. It could create new blue imprint. For me, it almost feels a little bit like your soul. The soul is here to have a new experience. That's why it comes here. So when it incarnates, it's here to get a new imprint. You could say, have a new experience, have a new understanding. So this can be, again, I said your subconscious mind. It can be, I get like North Node here, actually. I don't know with the star, but sometimes when, well, in astrology there are of course many planets that can influence your day if you believe in astrology. There is a position that is called the North Node. The North Node can indicate something about your current life. Mission or purpose. Like, it can be you could say an experience that your soul has not had yet. And usually with a north node, there's also a south node. So it means this is where you come from. This is what you know about. This is what you've learned. This is your understanding up till now. So now you incarnate here to have the new experience, which is polar opposite of where you come from. So maybe you've had lifetimes in a certain area. Right? And now you are here to experience something new. Actually, it comes across a bit like that, right? And Leo, this is interesting because I've talked about Leo as, you know, like standing in the spotlight, seeking success and victory, like feeling big, feeling seen, getting your name in the history books, climbing the highest mountain, doing something otherworldly. You know, like Leo wants to like become a legend. If Leo could, like, there is this need or urge to become big and seen and validated and adored and like, look at me, right? Having the attention and the appreciation, but also the money that comes with it, right? If not, you know, that you like, if you are not a person that likes to stand in the spotlight, it could be that you create a business and you are not it's like you're not necessarily the front person, but you are the engineer or the architect, right, behind everything. And it grows and you earn money. The product you sell or the services you have, you earn money, right? So in that way, you get the feeling of having achieved, you know, like getting to the top of something. But I have to put in a but here. There's something that seems a bit off with this reading in regards to like coming in here and wanting a new experience here. That is all good, right? That can be, you know, like from the back of your mind, there's this urge or the feeling that I want something new here. Because the next card I have, overall energy, so this is more like in your face, you could say. I have the 9 of Earth here. The 9 of Earth is usually what I would call a happy single card. This is where you feel okay, you have your things together, you have money, usually with the 9 of Earth here. It's a pentacle card. It's like you've learned somehow to yield earthly matters. 9 of Earth here is usually a card of I feel like success, but maybe a success on your own. But then there is this card here, and somehow I'm not quite sure about this card, right? Because she has a mask on here. She has clothing like, and look at the red hair here. It's like she's in disguise. And she holds, you know, like, I see it a little bit like someone praying. She holds this little tiny flower here, has a wish for prosperity, perhaps, sitting in prayer, you know, or somehow I have the feeling she's disguising herself here. I think she has money or access to something here. Because the next card I have to clarify this one is the Sorcerer here. This is it's like when I looked at this card a little further, I know that the Sorcerer talks about dark powers. So powers that can prevent you from something. And that's why I feel like she's in disguise, this one. The Sorcerer talks about dark power. It represents the destructive aspect of the human psyche and the self-centered behavior that harms others. It symbolizes the unconscious beliefs and ideas that foster separation, conflict, and scarcity. So when the Sorcerer enters your cycle, you're being called to look at how your beliefs around scarcity and self-centered fear manifest in your world. Examine the destructive part of your psyche that misuses power or harbors feelings of resentment, vengeance, lust, greed, bigotry, or hatred. Perhaps you've harmed someone because of their dark tendencies. If so, all is not lost. You have only forgotten that all beings are interconnected and the universe is abundant. The Sorcerer arrives to challenge you to change your thinking. You are given a second chance. Correct your course and practice not blaming others for the darkness that lives inside you. Make peace with it and choose another way. It's like, and I actually see it like that the Sorcerer stands here, but he is almost covering up, like the sun behind him. And that's a little bit, I feel the same with her hair here. It's like someone is covering up their real sun, like the true Leo energy. Something is standing here like a power of some kind. And it, again, I said it's like, she stands here as, it's an earth card, right? But you are sun, like that's original you are Leo, your strength. You represent like that utmost strength and like tenacity, right? But I don't see it here. I don't see the fire here. It's almost covered up here by this one. And she is like, there could be a focus on money, right? But it's like, we only see like a tiny bit of that Leo, right? It's like there's only a very little bit of you that is seen. I've talked about, I know many or similar, not quite similar, but the energies here that way back, I think, where I talk about Leos, that I may tap into Leo energy that has, been raised to be a dog. Which are two very, very different energies. Like the dog is a follower. Like it follows a master, where the Leo is the master, right? That's a very, like, there's a strong distinction between these two. So if you grow up with that understanding, that could be the reason why this looks like this, right? That you, I believe if you have a Leo child, a Leo child will challenge you, because the innate being of Leo is to be seen and validated. And every progress they make, like, needs validation and support and understanding, right? So you can, like having a silent Leo child, I don't think that's possible unless you silence it. Like, unless you somehow figure out a way you can silence it. A Leo child is not silent. Like, that is not a thing. Like, the fire in them is burning. It will make them very active also. Like, they need to move, right? But here I see an energy like she sits there, like almost in meditation, looking. I always see this card a bit like a nun, like, but you know, sometimes monasteries have been known to harbor outlaws, right? People who got on the wrong side of the law. So they have taken in refugees sometimes. And they live in the monastery, right? And they may dress like that and look as if they belong there. But it comes across to me like no, like actually she comes across more like a helper. Something here is dimming that light of yours, but it is visible, like the red hair here. It is visible that it's there, but it's just like a fragment of what you can be, Leo, right? Or what you are. It's like there's something here that is a shadow that prevents something here. Please have a go and look at the Cancer reading I talked a lot about, because there is like a theme here. I feel like that you can, if you can somehow isolate out your old stories and really make sure that this is what they are. They are old stories. They're not present stories. I get it, they have an impact on you. Figure out what to do about that. But the old stories are old stories. They belong there. Right? They belong in that box. In the Cancer reading, I talked about that it seemed like Cancer had found a way to have their 10 of Cups in the present moment, still knowing that something was there with them. Like that, I had a card that is called the Ghost Dance that came out in the Cancer reading. It's a bit similar. It's like old ghosts here. Old ghosts. And this can be from your own childhood. It can be from your parents, like inherited scarcity, inherited lack of confidence, inherited lack of support, inherited lack of vision and creativity. And I've talked also on my channel about these elements that usually happen to people when they face an obstacle. There are two ways usually. You can yield to it, or you can fight it. You can become, this is from Goethe, like a German poet. He says that you can either become the yielding acolyte, or you can choose Prometheus, which is the rebel. That's usually how we go about things, right? That you can go one way or the other. Somehow I feel like someone has yielded here to something. And I think that to a certain point, all of us do, because the scarcity mindset, the third dimensional energy is harsh. Like it has and relentless, tough impact of the feeling of darkness, right? Like, you could say if you come from a family where there has been a lot of illness, like, again, it depends on, I talked about North Node and South Node. Let's say your South Node is Leo. Then you would come from richness, upper class, majesty. Like, you could have past lives like that. That's usually how we see it. People of power or money. That's if the south node is there, it could be that. But then you have a north node in the other direction, which would talk about a life where you do not have that. You don't have that support. You will probably face obstacles. You will face scarcity, poverty, homelessness, and lack of followers. I don't know why I'm talking about North and South Node for you here, but there is something about that for you, it seems like. Normally I'm not bringing it up, but today it comes across like I should. And maybe, again, depending on your, let's say, you have a North Node in Capricorn. I don't know which house, right? Depending on the house, it also has a meaning. But Capricorn sign, the sign Capricorn, it's known to be hard working. It has to have a focus. It has to have discipline, because Capricorn works in the dark. There's no help. There's nobody who adores you. There's no Instagram. There's no, like, that's not, the world of Capricorn is dark. The Capricorn season, at least in the upper hemisphere, is dark. You can't see much. You have to find your way through life in the coldest, harshest time of the year with no light. So it means there is no adoration, no spotlight, no fame, no help, I want to say. So you see, you can be a Leo, but if your placements here are in a challenged position, it could feel like the world is against you, or there is some kind of curse here, right, that is following you. But it could literally just be that you are having this experience, your soul experience, because you come from the opposite. Like you come from having everything. And some will have the other one. Some will get the power in this lifetime, but they come from the other. Some will learn about humility, like living off small amounts of money, getting by with little. And some will learn, they come from that, and they now have a North Node in, let's say, Leo, right? That would be like, that's the opposite of the direction. There's a reason why it is like that. It's not because we choose it, like in this, our ego doesn't choose it, but the soul does. The soul is here to have an experience. It doesn't care about whether it's good or bad. I talked about this good and bad a lot. There's a good and bad in human understanding, and there's a good and bad in soul understanding. Good and bad in soul understanding, it doesn't really matter because it's infinite. The soul can't die. But the human body can. So for us, the human understanding is not the same. Whether you live in scarcity or whether you live in richness, in riches. Whether you live in lack of power or you live in power. It's a huge difference. But for the soul, no, not really. It's an experience. It's a blueprint here. It's a new experience. It's a new experience. So if you live in, like in the understanding that I'm single here, it feels like there's something covering my luck. If that something is covering my luck or my ability to, like build something successful or be something successful, that you feel like you have to hide yourself, or you are not taking steps towards it because it probably won't work, that this is standing in front of the fame or the power or something. It's when this card is here today, it comes across that something is standing between you and the possible son. It's like the feeling that I have potential here. I have potential. That's maybe why she's praying here, praying about the money here, right? I have all this potential, but nobody's seeing it like I'm covered. Does it make sense? Like it's like I'm covered, but there's something interesting to understand here is that if you are covered, this can be something the divine does. Again, because you're supposed to live a life of, and I know it sounds really bad and terrible, but it's an experience, right? It is an experience nonetheless, but maybe to a human mind, it's not a good one, right? So there could be a big focus on money also here, because you don't have it, or you feel lack of it, or you feel well, it could even be, well, the sun, I say it's about power, it's about fame or status, but it can also be about fun and happiness. Like the sun is the most happy, joyous, fulfilled card in the deck, but it's not here. And something seems like it stands in front of it here. So maybe you do have money here, but you're still covered. Like it could be, like scarcity in another area, like joy and happiness. Like maybe you are working a lot, but it's not making you happy, right? Like it covers you and protects you perhaps, like you can pay your bills and so, but it's like the fire in you is not let out, like the happiness, it's almost like you can't enjoy it. The money it's almost like you can't enjoy it. like, yeah, like you can, could it be like inherited money? You know, like you could have a, again, it's a single card here. I don't know why I get inheritance. Like, maybe you, again, this is a card that is like in your face right now. It's in your awareness. It's overall energy. It's something you think about. This could be something that you are thinking about. You know, like maybe if I was alone, it feels almost like she is because the Fool card is here, and look at how different this is, right? Here it's like she's disguised. She can't show her hair. She can't show. Here she is out and about. There's nothing like covering it. This seems like darkish to me, right? Here she has this white dress, and she just, there's no cover, no mask, nothing, right? This is what is like a driving force forward here. It's almost like this one in you here is asking you to take this off, right? Take this disguise off, that you are happy where you are. Because you are not, right? We know that there's much more here in you, but it's not coming out. It could be anything, like it's fire, right? Money can allow us to have freedom also. Like the Fool card is a free feeling card here. But it's almost like you're supposed to carry this dress or something. Look in a certain way. Again, you look like, I get her, when I see her, I always think about like a nun. Doing some kind of work here. You know, like in service somehow. Doing some kind of work here. But it's not at all what you want, right? This is a driving force in you here that says, be free, right? Go your own way. Let's try something new. It's like you are in something here. It may be well paid, or it seems you, or you know, like it's ordered. It's structured. Maybe there's discipline here. Maybe there's I get hierarchy also with this. Like maybe there's hierarchy. Maybe there's, you know, like a plan. Like maybe there's a plan, or maybe also a plan to the money. I get something like inheritance, almost like you inherit your parents' business, but actually you don't want it. It feels more like a burden than it feels like a burden here instead of allowing you to be who you are. It's like you have inherited something here. And what it is you have inherited forces you to live like this, and that is a shadow for your happiness. Yeah, that's what I feel like. And therefore, there's a part of you inside you that is looking for a new way out, right? A way to somehow free yourself here. What you are doing here, you don't like. She's a mask on here. She doesn't like it, right? It feels like a forced job or like a forced inheritance. You know, like inheriting money perhaps, but there are duties along with it. Does that make sense? Or, you know, like when you're a child, you get allowance. Like when you do your homework and when you set the table and when you go out with the garbage and when you help, right? There's something, again, this duality thing. So you can be rewarded if you do something for it, right? That you have to, again, something about you have to be in service, then you can be rewarded. That idea. And you are, I think, like you are in service here. You do have a job, you are doing something, but you don't like it, right? You would rather be free here. Like you would rather be out doing something that just feels free and easy. And again, this is here, right? It's what it is that is here. It's first of all, it's not, it feels forced somehow, that you are forced to concentrate on something. I get it. Now I don't know if you know this series, but it has been playing on YouTube. It's called Bridgerton or something, where and it shows several high-class families in or high society families in, I don't know, maybe late 1800s or so, 1900s perhaps, early 1900s, and they are all about prestige and status and everything, right? Looking right, being right, virtuous young women, gallant gentlemen, something like that. And in this case, I'm thinking about the Viscount Bridgerton, who became a Viscount because his father died. So he was a young boy. He was maybe, or I believe maybe 16, 17 years old when he actually inherited the title of being the Viscount. The Viscountess was his mother. But actually, because he inherited that title and he was very young, he could make decisions that would overrule hers, even though he was her mother. That is how the society worked, that he was the man of the house now. But he was young. And with that title came also the responsibility for the house Bridgerton. He was the Viscount. So he was in charge of the books. He was in charge of investments. Because high society life requires money to have that kind of life. And he had a lot of siblings. And to keep the house going, keeping it up, requires work, you could say. Do you get my point? That's what I feel like. It's almost like having inherited something. And you have to, like, that's your role, right? He was, the Viscount here, he was like madly in love and passionately consumed with an opera singer. Like he wanted to run away with her. He if he could, he would make her his Viscountess. But she was an opera singer. She was not noble. She didn't belong to the upper class. She was very talented and very sought for and very attractive and sexy, and that way of life was not acceptable for a Viscountess. So he has this role to play, right? That where there's work he didn't know about it, right? He was not, like informed about these things. Suddenly it was just on his shoulders. He had to learn, right? He had to learn about the books. He had to learn about investments. So you could say, suddenly he grew up fast. That could be what this feels like. Like I have been given a task that was, well, maybe it was expected, like he was the firstborn son of the family. Everybody knew that. He knew that. But taking this stand as a Leo, or we could talk about that the Leo energy is present, that you should take that stand. That is like when a prince becomes king. That, yeah, it may be that we have all known that eventually you will need to step up, right? Like, then you sit on the throne, but for now you are the prince and you can run and play in the garden, right? But eventually you need to step up your game, and then you become the king. Then you become the ruler. I get something like inheritance here, like having inherited a business almost. And there's money there, but there are also all these, like, as I said, keeping the books, knowing about employees, knowing about business contracts, investments, insurance, all kinds of stuff that comes with maybe a production company, or like some kind of or like an inheritance, but it comes with a job somehow. Like you inherit maybe money, but in order to get the money out, you have to do some kind of job here. And that job is not at all what you like. Does it make sense? It's like, to have access to this, you are wearing this, it could almost be like a uniform, right? Like some kind of uniform. And yeah, a role or a uniform. And the uniform, it's like it's a pretense. You pretend. And pretending, I feel like this pretense and pretending and having this uniform on, and like I don't know, merciful. I get something like serving in service somehow, but it's not what you, you don't like it. Like your happiness is dimmed by whatever this is. It's almost like you wanna, I feel like you're in service somehow, but you would prefer not to be. You would prefer to maybe be your own, like maybe having a new start where you're the one who chooses what to do, or at least I want to say blueprint. The blueprint is like a new beginning. I want to begin again, but I want to do it in a way where I don't disguise myself, or I'm not putting on this or I just want to play. Like I want to be off duty. I want to be off duty. I want to be off duty. Yeah, that's what I want to be off duty so I can just go and play here. I can go on my own. I can go out on a new journey where I'm not stuck in whatever this is, even though Nine of Earth is like, it's not a, like Nine of Earth is usually not a, there's money, but it seems like no happiness. This is where you're just strolling along and you see what comes, and you are playing your own tune here, right? And you have no mask on, and you have a nice light dress. We can even almost see a slight sense of wings here, so it feels more free, more airy, more lighter, much lighter, breathing more freshly. I feel like it's like a break, right? I would like a break where I could have maybe a new idea how to, where I want new ideas. I want new ideas so that I can break out of whatever this is here and get this sorcerer out of the way, right? And then there's another interesting thing when I shuffle the cards. It's like this card wanted to be in another place. Like initially, this card, well, I was supposed to put it in another place. So two cards have shifted position. And I think that you're looking for new imprint here. Having a break, like, or going on vacation, getting out of whatever this is, it's like there's this feeling of wanting to pursue some kind of new thing here, but you may not know what it is. And this is where I now say that this card should maybe be changed with the other card, and the other card is this card, the 7th chakra, which talks about crown chakra. It's opening up to your higher awareness. It is purple. It's about the contact with the guidance up there. It's And it's so interesting because here we have this shining star here. And maybe that's why I have this idea of the North Node and South Node coming up so strongly, that here you may be absorbed with the idea, I just want out, I want something new, I want a break, I want a different life, right? I want to be someone else. But you're not sure how to get it. Right? And this is where I'm now telling you that one of the ways to maybe get this is to actually open up, like to become much more aware of, and to have this clarity here. I want to say you probably need to deal with this guy here, because he's standing in your way for this clarity, the most clear ways of thinking. It says here, have you been feeling out of sorts because you've been faced with your own character flaws and the pain that you inflict on others when you are out of alignment? Radical self-acceptance is called for now. You must reconcile these darker aspects of your nature so you don't behave irresponsibly and cause more harm to yourself and the ones you love. It's time to come out of denial and accept responsibility for your words and deeds. When you meet the energy of the sorcerer with humility, this destructive power transforms into grace, which you can use in service to the highest good. Perhaps it's time to make amends. Do it. It will set you free from the shadows and let you step into the light. It's a challenger. He challenged you to change your thinking. And you are a fixed sign, Leo. And fixed signs can be extremely stubborn, like really stubborn. and they rarely change their mind, necessarily, right? That should be a really good reason. But I think there is a good reason here, right? There is a good reason here. Because I want to say, yeah, you are in service here. You're maybe doing something, maybe to help others. You know, like it could be that you are doing something here to like earn your own living if you are single here. On your own. Nine of Pentacles is usually a single card, and she is alone here. But it seems like what you are doing is like it really dims your light. You are in service somehow, and there's something about that for a Leo, I think. Being in service, it's not a problem to be in service as long as you are on the top. Like as long as you are somehow in charge. If you are in service lower in the hierarchy, it's not the same, right? It dims something for you. Like the acceptance that you actually want to stand on your own feet. That you, like the leader potential in you. That could also be what this is. Like there's leader potential in you, but it's not seen. You're not given that opportunity. Or you are hiding it, like you are not wanting to step forward. But then again, something something in you actually wants to step forward here. So in this case, it feels a little bit like, I don't know exactly what this job is that you're doing here, but because it's not true to you, like because you don't like it, let's just say that, right? You're doing it because it's there and you can. And maybe, as I said, you were brought up to it, like this is your inheritance, right? This is it could be a trait that you have inherited here. You know, like your father was a carpenter and now you are a carpenter, or your father was a tailor and now you are a tailor in his shop, and you are to inherit it, and it's a job and you do it, but actually there's no flame here, right? There's no joy, there's no happiness here. You're doing it more out of like it's a necessity, right? That we have to earn money. Otherwise, we are unemployed. And that's what I feel a little bit like. It's to avoid that, like to avoid being unemployed. I'm doing this to secure something. But I don't really like it, right? It's covering up another potential in me. But again, the potential is something you have to like choose. And like leadership is not necessarily given to you, I believe. If you have all the right qualifications, this could also be what this is like. Earth in Pentacles for me can also be education. Because education is an investment in a future job that can create money, right? So this can also be that you are taking certain education, but not liking it. And you're doing it because there's a potential in it. Like there's a potential. If you're not dealing with that education, you cannot get to the sun. But that is a way that the system has kind of like embedded in our mind, right? That I believe in big companies, like the CEOs or, some of the or CFOs, chief financial officers, those that are in charge of the money, or those that are in charge of like decisions about money or investment in a big company, they have certain education. And maybe usually also several years of like work experience, where they are proving that they are reliable and trustworthy and or innovative or something like that. That's the reason why they got the job in the first place. So here it's like it could be anything, right? You put it into your situation, but it's definitely not something you like. It's like you feel you are covering up, you are being nice, like you're following the education, being nice, you're doing your homework, but actually like you really don't care about it. It's like this sorcerer stands in the way, right? Like this education I need to have, or the next years I know that I have to work in the clerk's office because I need to get the right amount of experience before I can rise or before I can get to the next level. It could be the feeling of, maybe, I don't know if I'm talking to a young Leo here, who is on this education path, right? Where you're stepping, like you're making the steps towards something that potentially could build you up, but actually you want to be free here, right? You don't want, you would like to be able to just do it right away, not needing to cover up, do the things that is required. Like you want to be in charge. You want to be the one that just, because the Fool card is like that. It's like, oh, this sounds interesting. I go over there. Nobody's stopping me, right? Nobody's saying, no, you have to do the garbage first, or you have to clean the tables, or you have to clean whatever. Nobody's stopping me. I go and do what I like to do here. That's the Fool card, right? It's like a child in the garden, right? They go and watch the butterflies, or they dig in the dirt, or whatever. It's whatever they are occupied with. That's what the Fool card is. The Fool card follows its own, you could say, instinct, right? It follows an instinct. an instinct of something, to just go and have fun somewhere. Or it follows intuition also here. It could be the feeling that you have a life that is where there's not much room for intuition. There's not much room for, you know, like impulsiveness, or like impulsive desires that you can just go and do them. Like you are in some kind of restricted, again I said orderly, institutional school perhaps. There is a structure and plan to something. And I think you would like to just blow it up and just get out, right? That this structure and plan and everything is killing your fire. Like it drains and suffocates your fire. That's what I feel like. The more plan, the more restriction, the more 9 to 5, the more, you know, like we have this class and then this class and then this class and then we have lunch and then we have this class and this class and this, yawning, right? For you, Leo, it's inorganic, it's not playful, it's not, there's no instinct, there's no flame, there's no fire there for you. And fire has to move, like fire can't really, that's what I say about Leo children. They are probably very active because they have a lot of fire, and this fire has to move. Like you can't really make a Leo child sit. And maybe that's also one of the things if you sit in like a classroom here. That the classroom is, like the classroom environment is not supportive for you. Right? It's like you have to like really put an armor around yourself here to keep still. Like to be able to fit in here, you have to like put some kind of uniform on also, or a role, a mask on, which is not you. Like it's not you, but in order to be able to participate in the education or sit in the clerk's office, or, you know, like being there where there are all kinds of demands and phones ringing or whatever, you're sitting there, but it's not the comfortable place for you, right? It's like you need space, you need to be able to move freely, you need to be unlimited in what you do somehow. And the room you're in, like, or the place you are in, it's limiting your fire because there is no space, there is no fresh air, there is no ability to fly where you want to fly, or go where you want to go and be instinctive and innovative, and there's no room for intuition, there's no room for play. You could be in an environment, you know, also with people that are they're very serious and very plan oriented, and they are very scarcity here. They are constantly thinking about avoiding disaster, avoiding financial ruin. That could also be like an environment here where there is a constant like worry about money, a constant almost obsession about avoiding disaster. And being in such an environment is also draining your light here. It's like this guy stands there. I want to know, it's like, who is this guy, right? Is it one person? Is it an institution? Is it, you know, like a parent? Like the inheritance of, I said something about that you can almost inherit scarcity. You can inherit the feeling of like burdens are put on your shoulders. That life is tough and hard. Life is hard work. You have to be focused, disciplined. I had that feeling come up before I sat down and do your reading. Because actually you just want to go out and play, right? You just want to, again, maybe the feeling of having grown up too fast. You got like a lot of responsibility, very young perhaps, or you have ambition, right? You have big ambition, and to get there, you kind of know that if I have to go through the education system, this is going to take me 20 years, right? Like that idea in itself is killing this light here, right? Like and again, the Fool card is not very patient. It just goes where it want to go, like a child, right? It's like, oh, this seems fun, let's go. They're not waiting for the others to come along. That could also be what this is, that you feel like you are that others are with you and you drag them with you. But they are slow, right? That they're slow. They don't follow that easy, and you are already like, you are already out there, right? But that you're dragging along like a rucksack of seriousness, or like, you know, like you have, it's in your mind space here. The Sorcerer challenge you to change your mind, your way of thinking. So it can be like a mind inheritance. When we are very young children, we are like sponges. We absorb everything that is around us, the environment, tone, and feeling, and touch, and maybe harshness. We kind of absorb it. It becomes like installed in our brain. Okay, this is where I am, right? This is my environment. And if you come from an environment, again, that could be money, you know, but no fun. There could be money and a lot of work, but no fun. Or money, seriousness, always focusing on avoiding disaster, thinking about plans about investments and education, the plan. You know, like that could also be your south node, right? You come from like a south node of that kind of thinking. That is the way that you survive in this world, right? That's the way you do things. And your north node could be, I just go out there, right? I go out and I just try, right? Because I'm Leo. So why not, right? Instead of because this guy can be someone you've trusted, right? It could be a father figure or a mother figure, or it could be like an inheritance of parenting, bloodline of parenting. This guy here, scarcity or lack mentality, loss, the preventing of loss. That this guy is kind of standing there and he's constantly projecting stuff upon you, right? How to have the happy life. You have to do this, right? That could be the advice that you got, but you're kind of, but I want to do this, right? Or there has been like a growing feeling in you that is coming forward, but like there must be another way, right? That there must be another way to somehow be more free somehow. And maybe, you know, like the Fool doesn't necessarily know what the right way is. The Fool doesn't necessarily know which way to go, what kind of job is the right one. That's part of the Fool energy, right? It's young. It doesn't know. It's just looking out there and saying, oh, this looks fun. Let me try that one. Oh, this one looks fun. Or, wow, it's great and big or something. I want to have a look at that. And then they try different things, and well, they figure out it's not all good, right? Some of it seems fun, but well, it gets boring quickly. But the Fool is this idea of, couldn't I have another try, right? Couldn't I, what if I gave all of this up? Like, what if I just, being in this service industry, whatever it is here, being in this job, taking this cloak off and actually speaking my mind. What I think about this education system, or what I think about this firm, what I think about why shouldn't I just be the one I am? But in that process is also committing to who you actually are. And why haven't you done that before? Why have you been hiding here, right? Or dimming your light? It's like someone has some kind of, I don't know, power here. This guy has some kind of power. That's why he's called, it represents dark power, right? It's there could be feelings of shame and guilt, loss or grief or something here. It's a destructive aspect of the human psyche. So it could be self-loathing. It could be, like self-destructive, self-criticizing. But it could also be a self-centered manner, right? That you, like, this could be that it could be someone who is in disguise here because they know that if they actually spoke their mind, it would not be well met. But this guy represents maybe a thought pattern that says, I know better than you. I know best. I know better than you. I can't show it. Like, if I really let my shine out and actually tell people how bad they are, or how ignorant or how slow or incompetent they are, that could be this guy here. You know that if you let this one out, it would not be appreciated. So you're hiding it here. And that's why you can be in this place. You can work here. But you hate it, right? You hate that this one cannot just be honest and come out and say what it wants. It wants to go somewhere. Like, these two could be like really wanting to go somewhere together, right? Because they could be, well, it says self-centered behavior here that can harm others. But I believe that sometimes Leo energy can be self-centered to the point where they don't care if they hurt others. As long as they get to the top, or as long as they get to the goal they want, they don't care. Like, that can be a primary goal for Leo. An awakened Leo sometimes realizes what this talks, like, meets up with this guy here. He meets up with and realizes that some of the behaviors he has done is harming others. So for his own egotistical, self-centered needs, he has hurt others along the way. And realizing that. And then not feeling good about it. Some Leos, like they just close their eyes, they don't care. it just feels like there's something that comes through here that really wants you to follow maybe something else, some kind of other understanding or experience, right? That there's more here, or that why is it that there is always something that stands in front of my happiness here? It stands there as long as you keep it there, I feel like. As long as your mind accepts that it's there, it will stay there. I said in some of the other readings, also in the Cancer reading, I said that when things become very active and very dynamic, sometimes grace disappears. Like I made that like this little example of when the mother is just, like nurturing or helping a child to like just feel a little better, perhaps, if they fell and hurt their knee, right? The mother comes in usually with a rather kind. It's not aggressive. It's not, oh, you will be better soon, my dear, right? She comes in with like it's a quiet, soft approach. She will and usually she listens, right? Usually she listens, and she is usually also willing to stay until you may feel a little better. And she does that because she cares, because she really cares. Your happiness is on her mind because she loves you. But if someone is, like being in service as a mother, but actually hating it, doing it because it's the right thing to do. I know it's the right thing to do, but actually I would prefer just to go, like there's this feeling of like being committed to something you really don't want. And there's something about, like the way that we do things. When things become very quick and active and stressful and something, grace totally disappears. There is no way that you can be graceful to others. There's no way you can be graceful to yourself. And with graceful, I mean caring. Like really caring for your own well-being or someone else's well-being. If it's a very stressful morning, or you are part of an environment or a family with many children, in the mornings before you get out of the door, it can be this tumultuous thing. If you don't plan well, and like if you don't make sure you have time enough. So when you speed up, it can become more masculine, but to the point where it can become not caring, not for yourself, but also not for others, right? It's you disregard your own care, but you actually in the process also disregard others, especially if you are, if you are in a service job, you know, like a nurse or a kindergarten teacher or a mother here, or you know, like working with human beings, like with people here, that is your work, but you are disguised here, like it's not really who you are. But there is something virtuous about her, like she is in service somehow, in some kind of a therapist, a doctor, I feel like a humanistic job, you know, like but there's and she earns the money. She could be single here, but again, it could be an inheritance, right? I said that, an inheritance of being in service. That's also an interesting aspect, you know, like an inheritance. Let's say all your father, your mother, your grandparents and so on, they have been people who, you know, they were always helping others or something like that. They were in service here. Yeah, service. I get service like helping others. But it comes across as for the wrong reasons, right? They help others, but for the wrong reasons. They are not really real helpers. That's why the Fool is here, right? That they are not really real helpers. It's not their own instinct to be. And that's also what I feel like with Leo. Leo is not a follower. Leo is like being a Leo who is raised to be a dog. Again, a dog mentality, right? That I grow up in a family, or even families back, like bloodlines of people in service. Like they help others, they work for others, they are not in charge, they're not in leader positions, they are work class. And you know, maybe it's a way of surviving. It has been a way of surviving. That's the advice you've got. That's the plan you were given. That's what you have become familiar to. But inside you, it's like there's something stirring that just says, this is not right for me, right? I'm suffocated here. Yeah, that's what I feel like. It's like this, and somehow I get the feeling, if you can, you should look up your North and South Node, because and you can use the link in the description box below. I've added a link to Cafe Astrology. You can put in your birthday, your data, and if you know your birth time and the city you were born in, you can get your ascendant also. Otherwise, the other planets will show you something about North Node, South Node, of course, all the other planets. I believe there could be something about these North and South Nodes, where you come from, and the story that comes with that. In that story could be, you know, like an expectancy, an inheritance of, and programming and advice to be a helper, like in service of other people, a helper. a helper gene, right? But you don't like this, right? Because you are a Leo. And Leo is, you could say, Leo is the one that sits on top and have helpers. Leo is the one that hires helpers. Does it make sense? Employees, followers. That's why you have this. That's why this is here. Because like this helper thing, even though it's supposed to be a good thing, like that is a way of being a happy person, right? If we can help others, helping others is the most beautiful thing in the world. And then you are a good person. If this is what you have been hearing, right? If that's what you grew up with, that is the way to be in life. That is the way to like come forward in life. That is the way to, I just get the feeling that when this guy is here, it's like what you are living currently, is definitely hiding your potential. It's an old story, an old inheritance. And I said it before, it's like it's supposed to stay there. But that's not how we work as humans, right? We are social beings. We grow up. We're definitely codependent with our parents. But at some point, we can make that split, right? We can choose not to follow the old programming. And we can choose to go our own way here. Become the one you, I want to say, is supposed to become. But look at these north and south nodes for you. I feel like there's something there about how they are positioned and why you experience the things you do. Like, let's say you have a north node in the second house of Capricorn. Well, then you will definitely, if you go your own route here and you want to create your business, you can. And it will be about money. Second house. But it will also be maybe hard work. Because as I said, Capricorn is in the dark without help. Right? And they have to be very focused and very disciplined. Right? I'm just saying it. You can have Leo placements, but these other parts can, or if you have challenging aspects as well, but now it comes across with like north and south node here, especially north node, becoming aware of where it is. And when it's there, you just have to understand also where you come from. Like you have grown up in a family where you have witnessed others being what it is, like having an energy on you that could have caused some kind of damage. Right? You could have grown up among people with big egos, Leo. And to survive in that environment, you had to dim yours down. You became the helper. You became the yielding acolyte. Maybe you tried to protest and it didn't work, right? Then you became the other. And it worked out for a long time, but now you're standing with this, right? It's like, and your intuition is telling you something here, right? It's like there's something that the soul start chakra also showed itself when I was shuffling, right? There's definitely something about what your soul is here to do, right? That there is a new beginning of something, or that you should go your own way. I also feel like, because this is here, it could be like a codependency, like a codependency. Again, the old stories. The old stories are supposed to be exactly where they are in the past. But most of us, we carry them with us today. I talked about in the Cancer reading something about how the stories with the ghost dance somehow can invade the privacy life. You know, like when you go to work, you hear stories, you are involved with something, and something can be chaotic perhaps. When you are off work, you sit in your car home and maybe you're thinking about it, and you're reflecting about your choices, what you did and what you didn't do, and if you should have done something different perhaps, or you are annoyed or angry about it. You come home, you tell it to your partner, you want to hear their point of view. You now take what you have experienced in one situation with you in the transfer period, and also when you get home. So now it's taken from your work environment into your home. And your home is supposed to be this space where you rejuvenate, you relax, you calm down, and at least for most people, you have leisure time, right? You can invest in hobbies. You can go for a walk. You can, I don't know, if you like horses, you can go horseback riding. You can take a run. You can take a nice relaxing bath with candles and incense, and you can read a good book, you know. You can choose things that are for you. That's the point of the home, right? That we deal with something. That's the yin and yang. That's the yin and yang. The yin is actually present in our lives, but we are very bad at actually recognizing it. It is here. The gentle mother is here. She is here. But we have to recognize it, and we have to not take all this stuff from outside or from the past and put it into our current home. We gossip, we gaslight, we create stories, we think about, some are even having nightmares about it when they sleep, like they can't let it go. Before they go to bed, they think about the bullying boss or like different circumstances that are really annoying them. Please have a look at the Cancer reading. I talked a lot about this idea that we are, I believe, this is my personal opinion, right? And I'm included in that. I am of this world myself. I believe our brain is childish in the sense that we are not very good at dealing with our own reactiveness or reactivity. We are like 3-year-old toddlers who have temper tantrums. We are extremely good at detecting what feels uncomfortable, or even to the point of survival. Everything in that spectrum, from survival and threat and running and escaping and everything, to levels of discomfort. When something happens that is uncomfortable for us, that is challenging our body experience, our human body experience, we become reactive so easily. We can't not do that. That's how our mind works. We are like babies. Like, we may not be crying, but then we are yelling or mocking, or we are projecting. We talk about it. We take private stuff into our work environment and talk about it. We gossip with friends. Girlfriends who sit together can talk about private things about their partner with their girlfriends, and vice versa, right? When we feel uncomfortable, and as I said, I'm just as much part of this, I've just become aware of it, right? That how often during a day, make an experiment, right? How often during a day do you feel discomfort? It could be something like, I didn't sleep well last night, so now I feel tired. I feel, like I'm not prepared for the workday and the challenges there. I feel like I should have a day off, right? Or it could be something like you go out and you want to have a nice bath, and then the water is cold. There's no hot water. Or you get to the refrigerator, right, and you want some milk, but your children has just drunk the last bit of it, and now the breakfast you wanted, the cereal or something, you can't have it. How often do you feel this, like a frustration or even more? And maybe you're even saying it out loud. You're saying, why has nobody thought about me having any milk? Or whatever. I made an example of like the garbage truck. Like when the garbage trucks comes along early in the morning, even though I know which day it is, it annoys me every time because it's making a lot of noise and is loud. And it annoys my ears, right? And because I have a body that can hear, and it's not automatically shutting off every time there is a noise, it irritates me, it bugs me. Though I know that it's necessary, like I know that it's necessary that the containers are emptied and so on. So I have a rational mind that can kind of clarify, yeah, okay, it's okay. But then I'm still annoyed, right? I'm still, now I woke up 1 hour earlier, right? I could have slept 1 hour earlier. Who are you, right? To come here and wake me up. Just think about it. How often you are on the highway and some idiot is now like making some kind of like driving crazy, you feel like. They are too close to you, or they drive too close. It feels uncomfortable and threatening somehow. So we become like, oh, such an idiot, right? We become like very easily, this comes like to the forefront for us every day. Every time you feel something that doesn't align with you. I said in the Cancer reading, it's like we have this idea in our head that the world should align with us, give us, and be exactly what's right for us. And when it's not, like when it's not doing that, then we become like annoyed and frustrated, and like I'm entitled to be angry. And we all feel that. 7 billion people. That somehow I'm entitled to be angry with the world or other people if they don't comply with me and my wishes and my comfort. I've said it before, I believe that the human being is extremely self-perseverant It concentrates primarily on its own survival and own comfort, and how it can get by in the best possible way. This idea that we are selfless and think, no, we are not. I don't think so. Like, that's my personal opinion. You don't have to agree at all, but I don't think so. There's something seated in us that somehow expects that the world must apply with, like, comfort me. Like, that my children, my husband, my friends and family, they should accommodate me. And when I'm not feeling that, I get frustrated and annoyed. You know, like when there's a new act is agreed upon, but that it's a new tax law, and maybe it's a problem for your company, right? It's now putting more heavy taxes on your products, perhaps. Then you don't like it. It's not that you don't care, like you sit without no reaction. We become reactive. Because what? Because it threatens something, right? It points right into something that is in your world somehow. And we hate that, right? We hate losing people. We hate losing people in romantic relationship. We hate it if they break our heart. We hate it if they die. We grieve. We are sad. Because it's not accommodating to us. It's not making us comfortable. It makes us very uncomfortable. Or even threatens our lives, right? There is some kind of seed in our brain that somehow tells us all about the things that are very uncomfortable. And somehow we remember them best. Everything that is uncomfortable or a big threat or a trauma, we always remember those. But all the other days where things have actually been nice and calm and easygoing and without problems, we don't really recall them, right? But we should. We should give it praise. So when you get out of work, you should leave it there. The stories here, leave it there. As I said, the stories from the past, even inherited, like ways of being and everything, just let it stay there. Because when you get out of the work situation and you sit in your car, you should be able to think, oh, I'm off now. So I'm going to enjoy the sunshine when I drive home. Maybe I want myself a fresh cup of coffee from the coffee shop, and I'm going to listen to my favorite music, right? Because it stays there, right? And I'm in a new position, right? Now I'm off job. So I have leisure time now. I may be transmuting, but I can still have a nice time. So I put on the music, I sit and rock in the car, and I have a nice cup of coffee, and I drive home, and I greet my children, and I give them a kiss and a hug, and I say that I've missed them, and I'm looking at what they're doing, and I open the doors to the garden, and I'm just enjoying the flowers or the fresh air. And maybe I don't know who you are, right? But maybe you wanna, if you are an active Leo, right? Maybe you wanna be active, right? Maybe you like a run. Maybe you like, other kinds of sports, engaging sports, like, I don't know, football or something. You know, like maybe you want that. Maybe you want a nice quiet meditation or a nice bath or something. But you see the difference, how the stuff, the stories and experience, which is one part of the balance, is now not interfering in the other. It only does so if you let it. Again, it's something about how you think. You have to claim that brain of yours, right? Claim that this is my brain and I decide what's in it. If this is taken with you home and invades your private space, there can never be fun then. Happiness, joy, relaxation, a break, good times. Not if you are taking this guy with you home here. If this is, you could say, stories from your work situation, or, as I said, inherited scarcity. That inherited scarcity, you really have to become aware that this is something that happened in the past. And I know that my parents may still project this upon me, right? I really try not to do so with my son. Like because I grew up with this, of course, myself, right? My parents were from the working class. They grew up under World War II. Like there was scarcity, there was poverty, there was lack of all kinds of items. And of course, they have told us something about that, right? And I'm really trying not to put that necessarily in the head of my child. My young man, so my young son, he's 18, but a young man. And he's on his way out there now, right? And I'm just like, if he has some kind of idea about something, I really don't want to kill it, right? I really don't want to kill that idea by coming up with all kinds of objections or all kinds of things that could potentially kill that idea. Because it's not helping him, right? Like the stuff from the past, and it can be anything, right? It can be anything. It really should stay there. Like, I get it, we can heal our trauma and become aware of it and so on. And it's a good thing if you know what it is exactly, right? But then you also have to leave it there. If you want a new beginning, right? If you want a new beginning, you have to leave it there and become very aware that you balance your life, right? That something from over here is not overshining maybe your leisure time or your free time, right? That you can have the real balance, because the grace, the kindness, the joy, the fun, the happiness, it is here. But we just have to close the door to the rest. Does it make sense? Like, we have to close the door to the rest. If this becomes so big and loud that it's yelling into your leisure time, right? If that's what you feel like, I understand why you want vacation, why you want out. And you should get out. I really feel that. You should get out then. It's almost like anything is better than that. If it shouts into your leisure time, if all the problem and drama and all this stuff is shouting into your self-care time, it's a problem. Because now you have no fun. You have no lightness, you have no fresh air, no then it all becomes work and problems and chaos and everything. Like, so you have to shut the door to whatever this voice is, right? Whatever that voice is, like, get it out of your way if you can, or shove it in the past if you can, and let it be there, and be very conscious about it, that this is the old me. The new me concentrates on having the balance, or becoming more aware of where I can find my happiness, right? And not necessarily harm others in the way. Yeah. Having a balance is very important in this lifetime. We have duality, so it is possible. The grace is there, but we are so. Sometimes we don't even recognize it. Like when we get home and we actually sit in the couch and it's all silent around you. No neighbors are, like annoying you, or the children are actually quiet or out or something. You have time for yourself. Sometimes we can't even enjoy it. Then we are in the future. We think about the meeting tomorrow, or the presentation you have to do, or, oh, you forgot this. I have to write it down, right? I forgot about this. I have to write it down and take that note with me. Like, you can actually go through the day and prepare for the next. You are not present in the now moment where you are actually off duty. You can just relax and look at the birds, or, I don't know, go for a bike ride or something. Smell the grass, or look over the beach or something. But you have to choose it, and you have to really deliberately close the door to everything that is not self-caring for you, right? Like everything that takes you away from maybe caring for you or your own family. Like you are the things that are precious to you. You have to choose it. Like, otherwise, like, work life never stops. Demands from work life, from education, from school, or even it could be any kind of influence. Now you're watching YouTube. It could be anything. The news always concentrates on these headline stories of chaotic things, right? Usually chaotic things. Sometimes also like heroic things, like a gold medal or something. But otherwise, it concentrates on stuff that is bad, right? That can threaten us. Again, it puts doubt in our mind when we hear about a serial killer, or a fire happening at the local school or something, right? It's discomforting somehow. So if you listen to a lot of that, it can have an impact on your private life. Like the time where you should actually feel relaxed and enjoy yourself and free. But we have to choose, we have to become very aware. Usually when something just feels comfortable, This is where we now take it for granted. That's the seed again. Sometimes we're not even recognizing it. We don't even recognize, things are actually comfortable for me now. This is a nice feeling, right? I can appreciate this moment. We don't do that, do we? Then it's just nice and we are not alert. Like the amygdala center in our brain is the one that gets activated if there's some kind of threat. And it's like our brain is more concentrated on that than when we are actually in comfort. That's also why we don't remember it. And I think we should become very aware of it. We should become very aware of the time that is actually for us. Or it feels like it's for us. It's nurturing, caring, it's quiet perhaps, or maybe it's active, but it's in a way that you like. Like it's active in a fun way or something, right? For you. We should become very aware of that and actually appreciate it. Because this other stuff, it's coming nonetheless. What we can forget is this. At the front I have this picture of these tomatoes. And it's to illustrate like a maturing, right? A maturing process where the tomato starts as a little flower and then it becomes a little tomato and becomes bigger and bigger, and eventually it becomes a ripe, sweet, red tomato. But we also know that you don't want to eat one of the early green ones, right? I know you can do something with them, make pickles or something, but otherwise you wouldn't necessarily eat or choose the green one, right? Because it's not there yet, right? It's not ready. I believe right now we are asked to go through a maturing process. There's a saying in the spiritual community about the split between the third dimension and the fifth dimension. And that's also what I talk about, like the third dimension, worry and scarcity and lack and all this stuff, wounding and something, is in the third dimension, and we are leaving that. Or there is an invitation to go toward the fifth, which is a higher vibrational love energy, right? But it's an invitation. It's here right now, but you have to choose it. Become aware of it. You have to, like, align your mind with it. To me, it feels like the energy is here already. It's a very gentle energy. And you can tap in it, but again, you have to become quiet. You have to like release your yang energy a little bit and become more quiet. Slow your energy and pace down. Breathe. You could say you should open up your yin energy. That's the way you can feel it. That the new imprint is here, but you have to like choose your intuition. Your intuition is yin energy. So you have to slow your yang energy a bit down. You can still use your fire energy. You can take a walk, a slow walk. So it's not stagnant, right? Maybe not a run, but a walk. And you just let your mind tune in on what is maybe beautiful around you. Or you sit for a little bit. Like I get it comes into me like a feeling of like it's very soft and it's very gentle and tender and respectful. I also want to say it's respectful. It respects your wishes. whether you can align with it or not. It's very mother-like. It has this like kind, soft tune to it. It's patient. It's not forceful in any way, and you can miss it. Like you can miss this invitation right now. Because it's easy to be yang. The world is very yang. Everything around us is very yang. And you are yang. So it's easy to be like very hyperactive and everything. And in the hyperactive or the very active stuff, grace disappears. When grace disappears, you can't feel it. Grace is part of that energy. So in order to like feel it and just tap into it, what it feels like, what it wants, what it's trying to give us or invite us to, is very, very loving, but unfamiliar for most of us. And it requires purging, because it will awaken, well, the things we haven't dealt with. So it's like the third dimension, all this stuff, there is an invitation that you can leave it behind. Like you can take it, shove it out like that. But you have to choose it. Like, you have to choose it. Otherwise, you just live what you normally do. And you will face the exact same things. You will have this still. And you will have the dim light here. But there is a new way, but you have to muster some kind of bravery also. And trust in yourself. There is a difference between being self-centered. That's what the book says here. And I have a difficult time with the self-centered word. Because you can be a Leo and be self-centered and take actions that harm others. You can also be a Leo that received an upbringing from self-centered people. So all you know is like self-centered, egotistical projections. And you become the one that yields. Or you did perhaps become the one that yielded. You became the helper, the assistant, the dog, the follower, because someone else was self-centered. And therefore, when I read something in this book, it always comes with this, because it depends on what you have experienced. Right? If you're a scapegoat, you're usually been taught to be in a certain way that is actually not you. Exactly what I have on the table here. Taking the blame for something and being corrected, and you couldn't be free. And that's what I feel like is on the table here today. And therefore, well, self-centered is always self-centered, I believe. As I said before, I believe deep down every human is controlled by a very self-conscious, perhaps self-conscious, preventive core that always scans for the best way out. Even as a scapegoat, where you are actually tending to other people's needs before your own, you are still looking for the best way out. For the woman who is in an abusive, violent relationship, who sits there with her children being bruised and everything, she still looks for the best way out today, tomorrow, or just the best choice today. What is my best choice today? Even if she is lying to herself, she's protecting herself, she's protecting her children. She stays low, she looks down, she becomes, she yields, because that's maybe the best choice today for the core. It's my personal belief, but that's and it's, I'm telling what I think and what I get from the cards here. So if this made sense to you, and now I'm more than 2 hours in again, if this made sense to you and it resonated somehow, give me a thumbs up just to let me know if it helped somehow, or if it, I know I can maybe be a bit direct, but well, that's maybe, it's part of my path to be direct. So I'm also just practicing, right, to become the best version of me. If you don't like what I do, you have probably clicked off already. If you know someone who could benefit from listening to this or hearing about this, please just share the video. I'm doing this, like, I don't ask any money or anything. I'm just doing this because it's part of my own healing path, and I'm just thinking that I cannot be the only one, right, who struggles with something. So when I figure something out, or I believe I've figured something out, I share it here, and then you can think about it, whether it resonates or not. You can just take it if you think so, and if not, you can just shove it out, right? Again, don't take stories from any reader, from any news channel, from any colleague or something, and take it with you home, right? Just let it stay where it is, and don't think too much about it. You are quite capable of just, no, this is not for me, right? Decide what's for you and what's not for you. Especially if you're aware of your North Node, and you are aware of this idea that you want to get there somehow. That this is why you are here, this is why you incarnated also. That you have something to learn. Yeah, this is what I have for you. Take care of yourself out there. As always, I send you my very best love and light to you. Bye-bye.